The third essential, which the book speaks about for a fruitful life, is fertilizer. Fertilizer. Somebody said, what is fertilizer in this discussion? Fertilizer speaks to the issue of added support and enrichment. Added support. You cannot do it all on your own. People. Listen, the very best trees still need fertilizing. Yeah, the very best trees still need fertilizing. You need added support. You need someone to come in. You need education. It's part of the fertilizing. You need mentorship. It's part of the fertilizing. I've spent so much time watching so many different content creators on YouTube over the past month, since 1st December when we went live. I've been looking at so many. Why? Because with all your sense and with all your smartness and your street cred and all that we say, there's somebody who knows something you don't know. You need education. You need mentorship. Somebody's already traveled that line. Why reinvent the wheel when you can go and sit with a person and listen to what a person has to say? It saves you years. And that's why sometimes I like when I'm watching some YouTube channels and somebody will say, I've been doing this. I spent 10 years doing this before I mastered it. I love to listen to people like that. Because I personally will share my experience with you and tell you that. So 20 years ago, I moved from university days into corporate work 20 years ago. Then 10 years ago, I left the 8 to 5 and started working on my own. Now, in between those 10 years and today, the number of mistakes I've made, I think people need to call me so that I tell them about my mistakes, not tell them about my successes. My successes don't mean anything. I mean, my mistakes are key. So we're going to make mistakes. Why would you do 10 years of mistakes when I've already done 10 years of mistakes and I can give it to you in 1 hour, right? So you need additional support, and that is why fertilizing comes in. So beyond your soil, beyond the moisture, you need fertilizing, and fertilizing is added support and enrichment. People would bring so much into your life if you find the right people and you find a way of absorbing the fertilizer. Find the right people. Be open to education. Be open to education, whether formal or informal. Be open to education. It could be the difference between you spending another 10 years making. Can you imagine? You spend 10 years making mistakes that someone spent 10 years making. No, you don't need to. You don't need to. If I tell you the number of iterations and reiterations I've made on the Fruitful project, start this way, you listen, you realize that, no, this won't work. Let's go this way. Let's move this way. Now, if a year down the line, you're watching this is December 2024. If you're watching this a year down the line, and you continue making the mistakes we made, no, you should you should jump the mistakes and go straight to learning. So mentorship, and informal mentorship. You should be able to talk to people. I mean, I'm just yesterday night I was sitting among a group of, I think the youngest in that group will be like 60 something years. And I'm sitting among them yesterday night, late in the night. These are very well established men and women who have made it in life. And I'm like the small boy amongst them. And I was just listening to them. And some were telling me things that I had no idea. And I wouldn't wait for 20 years to learn those things. If they can give me the information in one good evening sitting over some good drinks, I'm all well and done. So education and mentorship is very, very important. And then also, don't forget, I said not only should you find mentors, but you should be open to it. You should be open to receiving it. What do I mean by that? Constructive feedback. constructive feedback. There are people who don't want to be corrected. And sometimes it beats my mind, like, why don't you want to be corrected? You think you're perfect? No, you're not. You're not. So when somebody's coming to you and telling you, you're doing this wrongly, I would listen, trust me. Especially when I know I don't know it all. I would listen. I would really, 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 really listen. So constructive feedback, it's very, very important when it comes to fertilizing your life. Be open to it. Constructive feedback would help you avoid so many mistakes. So many mistakes. Once again, let me give you another African proverb. It is said that the one who is charting the path, or the one who is cutting through the bush to set the path, doesn't know when his back is crooked, or when the path is becoming crooked. We say it in Ghana and in Africa, because the one standing behind, you are the one with the cutlass. You are cutting through the growth. You are cutting through the bush. You're going this way and that way and making the road not straight. It is the one behind you who say, no, go a bit to your left. Come to your right a bit. If we want a straight route, you need somebody behind you who is showing you where to pass, where not to pass, where to pass. And that always brings me to one of my mentors. When I started corporate training, this man who was already a guru in that area, and I recall when he attended my first training I was holding, and he stood at the back, watched me for like 10 minutes, and then he left and sent me a message on my phone and said, okay, do this a little, move there, do this, that. That's the kind of constructive feedback I'm talking about. Be open to it. You don't know it all. Be open to it. You want a fruitful life, be open to feedback. Even if it is criticism, I think you should still be open. Yeah, I think you should still be open to it, because you never know. Out of constructive feedback comes inspiration to do things better and to do things in a totally different way. Out of constructive feedback, you would get so much. There are businesses that have become more profitable or have even survived simply because they were open to listening to feedback from their customers. And out of customer feedback, they were able to come up with new products, new services. They were able to create totally new offerings that the market loved. And because of that, these became very, very fruitful enterprises, right? So fruitfulness thrives on feedback. Fruitfulness thrives on feedback. You don't want to miss that. And then also another thing, still on the issue of fertilizing, added support and enrichment, is the issue of intentional self-improvement. It's something I touched on in the book. Intentional self-improvement, where you are just not allowing things to happen to you. You are proactive enough to improve yourself, marking your own self. Be hard on yourself. Be hard on yourself. Say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. These are my marking. This is my marking scheme on my own self. If you're able to get that right, you're on your way to a fruitful life. Intentional self-improvement. Intentional. Are you the type that can pick a phone and just when you're about to browse some jokes and stuff, you realize that, no, I'm going to waste time. Why don't I read an ebook that will make me a better person? That is you whipping yourself. Apostle Paul actually said that after preaching himself, he makes sure that he goes by what he's preached so that he doesn't lose out. Too many people lose out on these things. They get to, as it were, pontificate, and then they don't live by what they do. So for me, I whatever you see me say unfruitful here on this channel is something that I live by. Strive to do that. The skills development, very, very important. The skills, the knowledge, the attitude that you need, you must put pressure on your own self. Can you do that? If you can do that, then you're on your way to a great time. And then also, another part of enrichment, which is part of the fertilizing, is about accelerated progress. Accelerated progress. Can you put so much? Let me give you accelerated progress like I do. If I'm going for my normal early dawn walks, like my Saturday dawn walks, I'll be walking, and then all of a sudden the thing comes to mind like, speed up. No one is there. I'm walking alone. I'm not going for a race. But all of a sudden, I'm just speeding my own self up. Just speeding my own self because I have a certain time I want to break. I have a certain agenda I have put on my own self to accelerate my progress, performance-wise. And I do it. I go for broke. Push myself, just so that I'm able to do that. So that's number 3. So number 1 is the soil, which is foundation and potential. Number 2 is moisture, which is emotional and mental nourishment. Number 3, we just finished, is fertilizer, which is added support and enrichment.